Guys, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over how to draw this. And this method is, and how to paint it as well, obviously, as in painting. So this method is called negative space painting. And so in a drawing, there are usually two parts, because I want you to understand negative space before we hop into. And we'll do this in, let's say we have a rectangle over here, and both of them are going to have a heart. So both of them, it is a piece of art or a doodle. And one of them, let's say we color in the heart. The heart, or the object of the drawing, would be positive space. 99% of the time, when my students come into my classroom, this is all they focus on, what's actually being drawn, or the object at hand. And a lot of them forget about the white space around your object. So let me highlight that. Let me color in that space red this time. So the opposite of our drawing above. And that's where everything but the object is going to get filled in. Just so we can highlight it more, like that. There we are. This, or the red in this area, is called negative space. So it's the area around your object rather than the object itself. So today we're going to be creating this painting, but instead of focusing on the objects or the trees, we're going to be focusing on the area around the trees, or the background more. And when we paint, instead of painting the trees, we are actually going to be painting the area around the trees, or whatever simple shape that you decide. So anyway, now that we understand a little bit more what negative space is, or the area around your object, we are going to rewind a bit and show you how to do this project. It's a great one. I think it's so amazing and dynamic, and I think you guys are going to love it. Good luck! Hi guys, welcome to another week of painting with another assignment. This week we are learning about negative space painting. And for this, you're going to need your normal supplies. You're going to need your watercolor palette. Mine is off to the corner here with the color already mixed up. It is going to be mostly a one color project. So once you pick a color, whether that's red, orange, or green, know that you're probably going to stick with that color for a while. So make sure it's a color that you feel comfortable with, that's not too complicated. You're also going to need a cup of clearish water, and you are going to need a watercolor paper with borders already taped down on the sides here. And so that way we get that nice, clean, crisp edge. Now, on top of that, depending on the season, when I first did this project today, it's near to Christmas. And so for that, we're going to need simple shapes. For me, a lot of my simple shapes revolve around Christmas. What I mean by a simple shape, it's something you're going to be drawing about 10 to 15 times. So you want to make sure it's something that you can manage. So if you know your skill level, and so whatever you can draw 10 or 15 times, that's the shape you want to go with. Today, I went with the pine tree, or the Christmas tree over here. And I've already drawn that. You can see that on the screen here. I've already drawn it about 10 or 15 times in rows, going across, left to right here, going upwards towards the top. So hopefully I've shown you a couple of finished examples how this should go. If not, generally, the bottom is going to be very, very light, getting darker and darker and darker as we go towards the top here. All right, which will give it a really cool layered effect, going one on top of the other. And so, oh, last but not least, I forgot this. You are going to need, whoopsies, you're going to need a hairdryer of some kind, so you can blow dry your artwork, so the drying time takes significantly less. Because usually when you do watercolor painting, you have to wait 1 or 2 times for your painting to dry, but we need our painting to dry between every single layer, so that's a minimum of 5 times. So say, for example, it takes 5 minutes for your painting to dry. Usually it would just be a waiting time of 5 minutes or 10 minutes. During this project, we would be looking at waiting around doing nothing for 25 to 30 minutes. That's almost half of an entire class period of just waiting and waiting and waiting for your bloody painting to dry. And we want to avoid that. And so keep a hairdryer near you, or just be prepared to fan it back and forth with a paper, just to make sure it's drying. So anyway, here we finally go. We want this bottom layer here, these guys, to be the lightest of all, but we don't want them to be completely white. We want them to have some color to them. And the color that I chose already mixed up is this lime, or this bright green, which will get darker and darker and darker the more closer to the top we go. And so what I'm going to do, this is the easiest layer of all. You're going to love it. We are going to paint over this entire paper with this green. So you want to make sure you have a lot of it mixed up. You should have your entire middle puddle, just completely filled. And we want it lighter than usual. So you're going to want to add some water to it. Like that. There we go. And we just want plenty. And then we are just going to paint over this entire scene, no matter what row they're in. So we're painting, going quickly, because again, we don't want it to dry too much. So that way we don't get this scratchy effect. Quickly going over our paper in that same middle puddle green that I showed you guys earlier. There we are. Quick, quick, quick. Just over our entire paper. Gonna take my hair dryer, and we're gonna blow dry that. Careful not to touch your painting as it's drying. That was a mistake that I made, and that's why I'm gonna have that nasty little mark there. So I can still see my drawing pretty well here, but I'm gonna go over the first row I have just a little bit in pencil, and we'll see why in a second. But essentially, I'm gonna paint over the rest of the drawing besides my first row in a darker shade of green. So I've outlined the very, very first row here. Now you're gonna fill up your middle pile all over again in that color that you chose. So for me, that was lime green, a mixture of yellow green. And you're going to make it a little bit darker than it was before. So maybe instead of adding so much yellow, I'm still adding yellow, but I'll be adding a little bit more green, like that. There we are. And maybe just a tad of blue. Just a little bit. There we are. Now we are going to paint over the entire drawing again, except for this area down here. We're going to leave that blank. So what we do is we are actually going to start down here and then make our way up. We are going to outline our trees as carefully as possible and then push that paint up to the rest of the drawing. So here I go. Alright, and then after we blow dry it, so after it's completely dry, you're going to go in and you're going to draw that simple shape again. And this time we're working on our technically, this will be our second layer. And I'm going in between the trees and I'm going to draw that simple shape again. And for me, remember that was pine trees. But if you choose gingerbread men, then that's going to be gingerbread men for you. There we go. Going to draw in those simple shapes again. Because for me, I have no problem drawing this over and over again. Awesome. Awesome. And if I don't follow this outline exactly, that's okay. That's all right. We're human. We're human. We're still learning. Okay. So this time I've outlined my second layer here. And so I'm going to go in, I'm going to mix a darker color than this one back here. Okay. So I'm using a lot more green this time. And you've seen me consistently like running out of paint. So just make a little bit more paint than you think you need to. There we go. So I have plenty of paint this time. I'm going to be ready. Okay. And finally, maybe just a dash of yellow. Why not? Come and join the party. Okay. So this time, again, I'm going to be first working at the bottom, going over these outlines, and then pushing the paint towards the top. All right. That's my 1, 2, third layer I've drawn. Same thing. Make sure you have plenty of paint as you continue forward with this project. Because, guys, I still ran out. And you saw how much I was mixing. I was putting so much paint in there. Okie dokies. Again. Now, the more layers you put on this, the more likely it does not want to dry. So just be careful. Especially the more colorful we get. Or the more pigment we're adding to our pool. Which right now we're adding quite a bit. We're pulling from the well, much more from our water cup. Alright, and I'm going in with those harsh outlines again. Aren't you glad you picked a shape you could draw 1,000,000 times over? Here we go, and just like we've been doing, we're going in and we're mixing our colors. There we are. That's what I'm looking for. Hooray, it's dry. Okay, so we're going to go in. We have 2 more layers to go. We have this one and our next one. Ooh. my paintbrush. It's all messy. Make sure you have some dry medium next to you so that you can, at any moment, clear off a drippy paintbrush handle. There we go. Just gonna make sure I have plenty of paint to go. Not to struggle with this project. And again, we outline first, and then we paint up. Outline first, then paint up. Go very slow when you outline. Slower the better. You are in no rush, especially if you have a complicated shape. Next, we have our final layer. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 5, and then a background. And so we go in, and this is the last one. It's going to be so hard to see your outline, but it's all going to be worth it. There we go. Okay. And this time, I am probably just going to go in with straight up a lot more black than green. Just to really make sure I have that dark, dark, dark color. Alright guys, last step, most satisfying step. Go ahead and you'll clean up, right? Put that to the side. Once your painting is done, go ahead and gently, very, very slowly take off that border. There we go. We had a bit of tearing. That's okay. That's normal. Alright guys, and that is negative space painting. Ta-da!